Hey y'all, it's Crystal. Thanks for coming by today. Yeah, it's that time of year where we're halfway through the year, so we're, checking in on where we at with our reading with the Midyear Book Freakout Tag, of which I never really freak out, but I do like this tag just as a, checking in the midway through the year and, checking on any goals you may have had, what you've been reading so far, how you feeling about your reading year, all that kind of good stuff. I like watching this tag and I like doing it. So let's hop right in with the questions. All right, number one, it always starts off with a bang with the best book you've read so far this year. No pressure. I have two because I am who I am, and I really wanted to talk about both of these. The first one being Cat's Eye by Margaret Atwood. Boy, did I love this one. I really did. And I love this book. It's about a woman who, she is kind of middle-aged and she is an artist and she is going back home, which is always a trope I love, going back home for a sort of retrospective of her artwork. And we kind of travel, back in time a bit with her as a child and her upbringing in, the town that she grew up in, and which I think is in like the Toronto area. And the sort of girlhood friends that she had. It talks a lot about girl friendships, how they can be awesome, how they can be toxic. The sheer, they can be bullying. But there's also this like wanting to just grasp onto a friend, and how that permeates, sort of her life and her life choices as she's gone along the way. It's just kind of a story of her life, but I just, I felt really seen in this as a middle-aged woman myself, and I just thought it was just wonderfully written. Margaret Atwood. I mean, I can't do no wrong in my book, but this, gosh, look at her. I love this book. It's a fantastic book. So yes. And also I can't not mention I Who Have Never Known Men. Boy, did I love that book. Yes. Another fantastic book. And this is a sort of dystopian feeling sort of a book. And we don't ever really know much of what's going on, but it's just about a story of this group of women. There's a group of 40 women that we meet in the beginning of the book, and they are caged in this large cage and inside this room, and no windows or anything like that. And they have been there for, I think, 20 plus years, and they are guarded by three men that kind of circle the cage. Now, our main character is a younger woman who was in the cage when she was a young child. When whatever happened in this world, she was put in this cage as a very young child. So all she knows is this cage, where the other women are older, and so they kind of remember the life before. They remember their families, their children, all that kind of thing. So she is just a bit different, and it's from her perspective and her sort of lens that we are learning this story, and it's just fantastic. Things occur that I don't want to tell you about. You just need to read this book. It's fantastic. All right. Okay, number two. I forgot to grab the book. No, I didn't. Here's at least a volume. And the best sequel, it's gotta be Cherry Magic. I'm loving this romance manga. It is an office romance, which I'm just loving. I love these two characters and how they're kind of slowly getting together, and I'm just in love with it. It's so much fun. It makes me smile. I love Cherry Magic. All right, yes. Let me put it over here. Next one. A new release you haven't read yet. Quite a lot. I'm always terrible about actually getting to new releases. But this is one I definitely want to read, hopefully sooner rather than later, is Thirst by Marina Yuzusik. Oh, I probably butchered that. First of all, this cover, the pink and red, perfection. I'm thinking this is some sort of vampire book. I don't really know, but I really want to read it. It's not that crazy long. I don't know why I haven't read it yet. But anyway, yes, definitely this one. For sure. All right. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I think it's got to be Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. I've heard great things so far, and yeah, I just really want to read it. Biggest disappointment. Ooh, I hated to put this on here, but The Never-Ending Story. I was just really disappointed in this book. I think, and you know, it could be because I love the movie so much. Whatever, I don't care. But it's like, you know, the movie, I've talked about this before, but the movie that we love so much is basically just half of this book. There's a whole other second part of this story which I really suffered through. And that is because I really did not like Bastian, who was our main character. He just becomes a sort of turd in the second half of the book, and was just it was just a slog to read from his perspective and read what he was getting into, and because I just didn't like him, you know what I mean? Anyway, so it was kind of a disappointment. Biggest surprise, I actually put two here as well because I had a couple books that I was like, yeah, you know, I ended up so surprised of how amazing this was. First would be A Simple Plan by Scott Smith. Yeah, I heard people love this book, but I was just like, how can this kind of story be really gripping? And yeah, I flew through this and devoured it and loved it. So the gist is we've got a group of three guy friends, and they're out in the woods and they find this small, like, crashed aircraft, like a small little, small plane. Words. Anyway, I know what I'm trying to say. And the pilot is dead, and there's a big bag of money with like millions of dollars in it. And so they devise this simple plan to keep the money. And we know it's not going to end well because simple plans never do. And it was just gripping. The characters were super interesting. And yeah, it was wonderful. It was really, 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 really great. And so if you haven't read this yet, because I know it is a bit older book, but man, was it good. Yeah, really good. And how surprised was I that I absolutely loved Dead Inside by Chandler Morrison. No one is more surprised than me, but I flippin' loved this book. I thought it was an absolute, just perfect satire of horror, particularly extreme horror. And yes, it's gross. Yes, it is absolutely offensive. You know what I mean? Some awful things occur in this book. I cannot say that enough. Don't read this if you don't want to read about some absolutely atrocious people doing gross things, okay? But if you want to see some pretty great writing, and again, like I said, just an absolute satire done, I think, so well, read it. I loved it. I loved it so much. What can I say? Okay. All right, so number 7 is like, a new author, either like a debut author for the year or someone that's new to you. And I put Ai Jiang, who wrote the book Ling Han, which I really liked a lot. And so, and I don't know if this was a debut or not, but I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on what is coming next from this author, because I was very impressed with this book. It explored grief through horror, I thought, really well. And I just, by the time I got to the ending, it was just like, oh man, this was pretty great. Yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to what is coming from this author. And I was very, very impressed with Ling Han. Yeah. Okay, number 8, newest fictional crush. And I don't know, maybe it's not new, but I couldn't really think of anyone else. And that is the two ladies from this romance manga, Donuts Under a Crescent Moon. I did read volume 2 finally. And I love these two ladies and their love story that they're kind of slowly developing. And they're kind of getting together in this volume and, getting more than friends. And I love these characters, as it shows how this kind of, modern girls, making their way through, Japan and like the work life and some outside pressures that they may feel. Their attraction to each other, which, it's kind of like, it can be a struggle sometimes. And then, of course, she's a bit struggling as a sort of caregiver for her younger sister because her parents are no longer, they all them. And yeah, I don't know. It's just, I love these two ladies so much. I can't wait to keep reading this series and watch their love develop. I just love them. They're so sweet. Okay. Okay, newest favorite character. I got a couple this time around. One is, Maeve from Mayfly. I think she was just such a cool character. Even though she did things that she did. If you know. But I just think she was just a cool chick, and she loved Halloween, and she worked at like a Disney, themed sort of park, which wasn't called Disney, but we know it's Disney, and she drove a pink car. I don't know. She was just really fun to read, and I really enjoyed Mayfly and reading about Maeve. Just a really fun character. Also, another character that I really kind of identified with is Mary from the book Mary by Nat Cassidy. And again, another sort of middle-aged woman. She is dealing with sort of premenopausal things as someone else is as well. And I don't know, she moved to this small town, and things aren't what they seem. It goes a little bonkers. I loved this book also, and I really enjoyed reading from Mary's perspective, and just kind of like identifying with her a little bit. Okay, book that made you cry is number 10. Need I say more than the Reformatory by Hannah Reid. This was heart-wrenching. I read it at the very beginning of the year. It still stuck with me. Yeah, this is very sad, but it is powerful. It is important, and it is a beautiful story. But again, yes, very heart-wrenching of documenting life at a place called the Reformatory, which is where sort of young boys are sent, that for punishment. They're ne'er-do-wells, and so they're sent here, and we're following the perspective of a young black boy as he is sent here. And of course, in this time period, which is, I forget what it was, 1950, in Florida, as he does, he's sent there for a BS reason, of course, and just the challenges that he faces there, perhaps a spooky element thrown in as well, because it is 10 in a review after all, and it's heartbreaking. This story, I cried at several instances, and it's a must read, but just know it's a heavy one as well going into it, but I can't recommend it enough. It's fantastic. So. Okay. Book that made you happy. I have to say Bunnicula, because I had a smile on my face the entire time reading that one. It was so good, and I love these. I love these animals now, and I want to finish out the series and spend more time with them because they are a delight. They are so much fun. The cat is, I love him so much, and I don't know. These, they're a cat and a dog. They're pets of a family, and then they bring a rabbit in to the mix, and they think that he is possibly a vampire, and they try to figure it out. It is just a delight, start to finish. Period. Perfect. It's so good. Number 13, the fave review that you've done this year. I don't know that I've actually done a single book review, like a single book review on a video. You know what I mean? I usually just kind of wrap up each month, and I'm trying to think, have I even done a single book review this year? And I can't even think that I have. I should have probably looked this up before, but anyway, so I don't know. I don't know. Number 14, the most beautiful book that you have bought or received this year. No, I haven't bought a single book this year. I know you don't believe me, but I haven't, because I'm on the Read What You Own challenge. But I do have a couple of subscriptions that I do keep coming in a little bit. And one, it was Nightworms, though I have actually suspended my Nightworms. I think I've got a couple towards the beginning of the year before I paused that membership, and I do Book of the Month, and I'm part of the Weird Punk Books sub club, which to me is totally worth it. I'm supporting an independent publisher. That's the word I'm looking for. And they send me some really cool books. So anyway, but one I did receive earlier this year, which I think is really pretty, is The Haunting of Velkwood by Gwendolyn Keist. There's just something haunting about this one, because you see there's two reflections here, but one there, and I just love the yellow on the black and gray. I don't know, there's just something about this one that I really like, and I do really like Thirst, which I showed before, but I love this hot pink on the red. I love that like visual graphic of those colors, which are normally, you're not supposed to really put pink and red together normally, but and then this juxtaposition of this sort of classic looking, sort of female body there. Yeah, I really like the look of this one too. And I like even the style of the lettering and everything too. So yeah, I'm gonna go with those. So a book that you need to read by the end of the year. Of course, I never need to read anything, but these are definitely a couple I want to read. Those ones, and also this one that I got from Book of the Month, Annie bought. Yeah, I definitely want to get to that one. Excuse me, I dropped a book. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some books that I've gotten this year that I haven't, done anything with, but I skipped a book. I skipped a question because, and that's number 12. Your favorite book to movie adaptation that you've sort of watched so far this year, and I couldn't think of a single one. I am currently watching a show called My Stand-In, which I think is based off of either like a webtoon or a novel or something, though I don't even really know what it's based off of, and I didn't search it beforehand. But one I really want to watch is it's on Netflix, the show Parasite. I think it has like a subtitle based off of this Japanese manga, Parasite. I've read volume 1 of this, loved it. Still need to continue on the series. I'm terrible about series. We know this about me. But I really want to get into this series on Netflix because it looks really good. And I don't think it's like shot for shot, this. It's just an interpretation of this story. I'm thinking from the look of it. But it looks good. It looks really good and spooky. So I definitely want to watch that. Back to books you need to read by the end of the year. Yeah, again, there's nothing I need to read. I've got some I want to read, but I'm mostly looking forward to events that are coming up in the second half of the year. Of course, we've got Garbagus that'll be coming up in August. I'm definitely hoping to do another week of Weird sometime in September. Shorty September is always fun. Of course, we got spooky stuff coming for October, and that wrap us into ending of the year. I mean, it'll be the end of the year before we know it. Crazy town. So yeah, that's kind of it as far as the Midyear Book Freakout Tag. I thought while I was doing a mid-year check-in that I would do a check-in on the Read What You Own Challenge. And so this is my little card so far, because this was created by MJ over Reading This Life. And she is pretty close to finishing her challenge. Of course, this is a challenge started by Ollie over at Criminale. And so me and Ollie and Greg, another Bibliophile Reads, and MJ kind of started it back up again in November of last year. And I've gone full power to read 100 books I own before buying any new ones. And so this is where I'm at. I think I'm probably at number 42, but I still need to update my sheet. So I'm over the 40 book mark, which feels good. So I'm close. I'm about halfway. It's going a bit slower than I thought, and that's just because my reading year has gone slower than previous years, because I am sort of purposefully reading slower, or not necessarily reading slower, but reading less, and spending my time doing other things. And so I'm not reading as many books this year. And actually, let me check my journal, because to give you a total of just how many books I've read so far, while it is still a lot, because I do still love reading. Hold on, where am I? No, that's May. Let's look at June. Pause. Talk amongst yourselves. 59 books, which again is still a lot of books to read, like a half of a year, but it's still I'm still reading less than I normally would. So, and I'm just enjoying this. I'm really feeling good about the challenge this time around. And I really have not been feeling like I needed to buy books or anything. I've did a massive unhaul, which maybe you can tell because these two shelves now don't have books on them. I probably unhauled probably close to 200 books, and I still have piles of books on the floor. So I got rid of a lot of books. I turned them in, and I turned them into McKay's. We have a new McKay's, which is very dangerous to have a new McKay's, which is a really amazing used bookstore. That's just right down the road from me now. I can get there in like 20 minutes. But I took all of my books there, and I made it, a couple $100 even. And I just got them out of my shelf because they're books that I just wasn't going to read again. Either I've read them already, or books I've just totally lost interest in, and that's fine. I think that's also part of the challenge, is like kind of evaluating, like you're reading your tastes, and what do you really actually want to read, and do I find value in having this book on my shelf or not? To me, that's kind of part of this challenge as well, as I'm kind of moving through all of the books that I own on my shelf. So so yeah, I'm very happy with how the challenge is going for me, and I'm gonna make it through the whole year. Hopefully I will finish by the end of the year. I mean, that's kind of my goal. But we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so if you're doing the challenge, let me know how you're doing, because I think there are definitely some people out there still trudging along like me. Yeah, so that's where I'm at with the Read What You Own challenge. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this tag. And yeah, so let me know how your reading year has been going, and are you meeting any of your goals, that kind of thing. I didn't make a lot of goals this year because, again, I decided that this year was going to be a bit slower, and so I didn't really set a lot of goals for myself. And I'm enjoying my year. I'm really enjoying the things that I'm reading overall. I've had a few duds like you always do, but I'm overall just having a really good year. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope that you're doing well, and I'll catch you in the next one. All right, bye.